Good day and welcome to our program, The Church and the Poor. My name is Father Hayden Augustine from the Missionaries of the Poor. And today we have in our audience Father Hansu Park from the Sarah Pre-Theology Seminary of the Archdiocese of Toronto. And we have one of the seminarians, Aldrin Fernandez. And we have a team of seminarians in the audience. What has it been like for you, Father Hansu, this past week, in your experience of, for instance, the brothers' lives? How has that impacted you?
It has been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Right. The brothers are so hospitable.
Okay.
And the ministries they do, certainly there are a few occasions where I really felt the presence of God, first and foremost in the brothers, working among these poor of the poorest, and really looking after them, without any complaints, without any kind of...
You have visited the centers where these people are, our poor are kept. Which centers have you been to?
The first one we went to was the Faith Center.
Faith Center. That was our first center.
That's the first one.
It's 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And then the second one I went to was Bethlehem, the little babies.
Little babies.
Yes.
Right.
And last couple of days I spent also at the Lord's Place.
Okay.
And it has been
and the HIV section you went also?
Yes.
What we call C13.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And which center you felt has most affected you or drawn you?
I have to say it has to the Faith Center.
Okay.
I think it was because of far more difficult for me to look after.
These are big men.
They're big men.
Independent men.
Exactly.
Yes. Right,
exactly.
Right.
Beautiful moments. But one occasion I shared with also seminarians the other night as we were sharing was one of the brothers asked myself and one of the seminarians to shave some of the men.
Yes.
And how when we began to prepare and the men saw us, we were getting ready to shave their face, they just came and wanting to shave their face. They for me, like if somebody puts a razor on me, like I wouldn't want that.
Right.
And yet they're
willing.
They're willing.
And
they're trusting, dependent.
Right.
And perhaps it was gave me a great impact in that moment. It was because I saw myself not as like them. There are moments where I will be repulsive to the fact that God wants me to be dependent on Him, and I will be turning away from Him. And
Blessed Teresa talks about the distressing disguise of the poor. You ever heard that term? She talks about the distressing disguise. I mean, it's not a very positive term, but it is a real experience that sometimes you do feel you're repulsed or challenged at least.
Yeah.
But then there is there.
That's right.
You overcome that, isn't it?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Aldrin, what about your experience so far? What has impacted you so far? Well, what drew you out, first of all, to MP?
What drew me out here was back home in Canada at the seminary, at the Philosophy Seminary, at St. Philip's Neri Seminary in Toronto.
Right.
Two of the brothers, I had the pleasure of studying with them.
Okay.
So they were a couple of years. Well, they were a couple of years ahead of me, and I don't think they needed to recruit me, Father. I think their example was just was beautiful. It really was. And I'll share a moment. Like we'd see them, they're always joking. They work hard, they study hard. But also with that, there was one moment where one of our brothers within Sarah House bought something from McDonald's. And we bought only one burger because it was a spare. So we only had one burger, and we were like, oh, quick, give it to one of the brothers. So, well, it wasn't that big. It was just a small burger. And we gave it to one of the brothers.
Okay.
And what impacted me over there was that this particular brother said, thank you, first to us. And then he paused and he said, I can't open this until my other brother comes. And I watched this privately where he waited, they both prayed, and they broke the burger and shared it together. You know, and this really, really touched me and impacted me. And you know, to just see that small example of all the missionaries, of all of you, I was like, wow, there's something beautiful here. There's something deeper here. And so just to see them walking, or when they speak to each other, or it could be the same question being asked over and over again, maybe by some of us, when we want something or want to go somewhere, they're very polite to each other. They, you know, you can see that there is a brotherhood amongst them, you know, and a real one, not so much a fake one where we can put on a facade all the time. So, you know, that's something I noticed. And the way they worked. Actually, one of the other brothers shared this, and I'm going to say it right now. It was when we were having our sharing a couple of nights ago, or last night. Missionaries of the Poor Brothers never complain. That we've seen. Never complain, and it's beautiful to see. It doesn't matter what they're doing, and they're going, you know, in the heat, you know, it doesn't matter. Just non-stop. They're yes to each other, you know, they're brotherhood. You know, they're always taking up for each other and moving forward. And
what about
really
the works of the apostolate? What about the ministries?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
where have you worked? Which places have you worked?
So the first day I went to Good Shepherd.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, at first I was nervous because I didn't know.
Good Shepherd is a men's home.
That's right. And I wasn't too sure exactly what I was getting into. And I walked in, and I remember one of the brothers saying, you know, just dive in, both feet, and just mingle, just get to know him. And the first task that was given to me was I had to go around clipping nails. So just clipping their toenails or their fingernails. And I was a little bit nervous about that because they trusted, you know.
You can cut them.
I did. I didn't cut them, so thank God for that. But yeah, you know, but I did cut the nails. It was, I was nervous at first, and I was just thinking, because I've got, you know, my sister had 2 children, and so I remember watching my sister clipping the nails of her son and daughter, and I was thinking, oh, that doesn't look too bad, you know, but it's cute that she does it when they're sleeping so they don't flinch. And then I just had a flashback of that moment when I was cutting their nails. I'm like, please, Lord, don't let me clip like a part of their finger or something. And they were so trustworthy, you know. And then after a couple, then they started to line up, and it was nice, you know. And they
like the shaving.
Exactly.
Pope Francis has said one of his early statements, and you know, he has made a lot of big statements that have made headlines. He said, "Oh, how I wish for a church, a poor church that serves the poor." Have you seen that in your experience here in Jamaica, Father Hansu?
So far, yes.
A poor church that serves the poor. I mean,
right. Certainly, I mean, I think it's just the fact that we are here. First of all, it speaks volumes about the how much it's being done here in Jamaica. I really didn't know how this ghetto of Kingston is going to be like. I had no idea. You know, I heard heard about violence and all this, and but looking at what you do and what kind of conditions these men and women are, and that the church, Catholic Church, is right in the middle among these people. I mean, it gives me a sense of pride, first of all, and also a sense of urgency. And also, I couldn't help to compare the poverty here and also poverty in Canada. You know, obviously, Canada or the States, we are you know, developed countries, so there is much more system, but and yet, you know. Just thinking a little deeper into, you know, what is the poverty in our country really, you know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people may have heard that Mother Teresa said, you know, when she visited America, there is a much more poverty here, you know, there's a much hunger here than the country I'm serving, you know. So certainly, you know, it's a question, I think, of different people who receive different missions within the same church, you know, in the world, to really somehow be with these people who are poor. And certainly, I'm very, very happy that we are one of the organized entity in the world that are out there in helping, you know, not just in Jamaica but in all parts of the world.
Every country.
Exactly.
Every country.
Exactly.
Aldrin, what experience, what particular, apart from cutting nails, what experience you would want to take back with you to talk to others about? in your experience so far with us?
I would say it happened yesterday. So I had the pleasure of accompanying Father Hansu as well to go into Bethlehem Center. And over there, it's obviously working with the young, with the youth, with the infants. And when we got there, it was just, first it was tasks. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm here to help. Lord, help me help the best I can. And so every time I was done something, I'd be like, brother, what can I do next? What can I do next? And then it came to the point where one of the brothers just said, just hang out with them, be with them. And then I took a step back and be like, whoa. And I remember just picking up one of the, the young children and just walking, just slowly walking back and forth, and just reflecting on, it's not so much it is about doing certain things, but it's also more about being in the moment, being present, and that was a good moment right there where I could reflect, holding this child, in my hands and just thinking, like when I was younger, all I wanted was just mom and dad to be there and just to be, and just praying in my heart silently, just, and just thanking God for this moment, because back home or wherever we are, we're so caught up in the day to day.
Doing.
Yeah, just go. And, and just taking this moment to be like, stop. I think it's Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God.
Very good.
And coming back to that moment. And and seeing Christ in this child, and learning and just being. So
yes, thank you, Aldrin.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can open the discussion to the floor.
My name's Henry and I'm from Toronto. And I just finished my philosophy. I graduated from St. Philip, and I'm happy that Father invited me for this Jamaican trip as well. I guess one of the biggest things that impacted me was definitely the first day. I was assigned to a Faith Center, which is a place for mentally challenged adults. And I walked in and you see all the different adults, but I didn't know what to do. But the brother said the first thing is, be with them. And he said they're so happy, they're so joyful just to see new faces. I thought, you know what, like they're very happy, they're introducing themselves. And one of the things that really touched me was afterwards, this big Jamaican man just came up to me and hugged me like a little child. Just like a little child just hugged me. I was shocked. I'm saying, I'm here to give them joy? No, they're here to give me joy. Then I thought of what Father Hansu said in a homily before we left the seminary. He said, brothers, in a few hours we're going on a mission trip to Jamaica. Don't think you're there to give, but you're there to receive. And I didn't get that. I thought, I'm there to give, but like something I didn't understand until I went to the Faith Center. I feel like I'm not there to give, they're there to give me, They're helping me get closer to God, and at the same time I'm helping them get closer to God as well. I just thought it was so beautiful how we're both helping each other.
Yes.
God put us here together at this time just so we both can learn how to love each other more.
Yes.
And that's beautiful.
Great.
So that was my experience.
Thank you. Yes.
Father, my name is Sean. I'm one of the seminarians for the Archdiocese of Toronto.
Yes.
I grew up in India, just like Brother Aldrin here, and I came to Canada in 2001, and now I'm studying for the Archdiocese. I'm not new to the poverty that exists here in Jamaica because I grew up there for most of my formative years. But I think this is my first time very closely experiencing that level of service to the poor. And I must say I'm just grateful for this experience that we're getting here in the seminary. I was looking for that opportunity to work closely with people who are suffering from AIDS, and I got that opportunity.
Did it scare you?
It did. It did. Honestly, it did. I was coming with that fear. I knew I was coming with that fear. I wanted to push myself because in pushing oneself, you grow in virtue, and also, you you really get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And I think in the seminary that's very necessary for men who are in formation. And so I got that opportunity. I was joyed. I was scared at the same time. But once I went through the day, it's beautiful. And like, you know, my brother here, Henry, said, it's just, you receive more than you have actually given. And all in all, it was a fun experience so far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Father. My name is Andrew. I'm also from Toronto, studying. I'm in my third year at Sarah House Philosophy Seminary. I think what has struck me most about being here for the past few days is how clearly we're able to see, I'm able to see Christ in all the poor. I've worked with the poor in Toronto, and it's been a very, very safe sort of environment. You know, you're usually behind a counter dishing out food or something like that, and so you chat with people sometimes, and you make eye contact, and you smile, and you say, "Have a nice day." But coming here, it's the first time that I've actually been able to engage the poor in any real manner. It's always been so superficial for me, and so when I've been spending time with all of the residents here, what I'm struck by is their simple joy, and it's something that I've hardly ever seen anywhere in Canada. Just the amount of love that they have from the moment we walk through the door. They don't know anything about us. They don't even have a chance to get to know us or to like us or dislike us. Regardless of all that, they'll pour themselves out, much like
teach us
Christ
a lot. The poor teach us a lot. Yeah.
an incredible amount.
Yes, it's true.
And I think that when I go back to Canada, I'm not going to be able to look at human beings in the same way. It's been such a radical image that's been portrayed. How clearly I'm able to see Christ in all the people who are serving.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Father. I'm also a seminarian from Toronto, and I've just graduated from Sarah House from philosophy. And I think what's really struck me here, and it's really been an overall theme, is when I was coming in, you mentioned Mother Teresa mentioning the distress of the poor. And so that worried me a little of how I would react, and I wouldn't want to offend them. But I found that when I came here, I didn't have to accept them, because I came here and I was a little nervous, but they were accepting me. And really to see that it's unbelievable, because I think of our North American culture, and sometimes people, when they pass you by the street, and it's like you don't exist. It's such a big city, and there's all this rush. But these people, they look you in the eye. I mean, they're there, they know you're there. And they're so welcoming. So it's funny that they ended up accepting me rather than me accepting them, and that made me comfortable. And I guess this was really heightened in one moment when we were eating lunch, and there was a man there, and he couldn't see, nor could he hear. And so, I mean, that's two of our biggest senses. And one of the volunteers there, because of that, he tapped him just to let him know that he was there, and he recognized him. And while he was eating, he wanted to tap him back, but he didn't know where the brother was. So he ended up just swinging his arm, and he hit me by mistake. And I was okay with it. And then the brother corrected him, and the brother said, "No, oh, you missed," and that was somebody else. And this gentleman, he didn't want to go on. He was eating his food, and he refused to eat his food. He wanted to come to me, and he said, "I want to recognize this person." And he came to me, and he just felt where I was, and he shook my hand, and he apologized, and the simple way that he could. And just that recognition that you are a person, and even though he doesn't have his senses, his ability to see my own dignity, I was really, really touched by that. And I think when I go back, that's what I'll take back, is I hope to see the dignity in everybody, no matter who they are.
Hello, Father. My name is Armando. I'm in philosophy seminary in my third year at Sarah House. So before I came, I have a few Jamaican friends back in Toronto, and I told them I was coming to Kingston, and they were actually afraid for me. They told me to be careful, and you know, I didn't think anything of it. I was actually excited to come and experience whatever it is that we're gonna do. And so my first stop was at Good Shepherd, and I wasn't overly surprised by what was there. I kind of knew that, you know, there's gonna be some tough situations here, and there's a lot of work to do, and I was just ready to do whatever it is that the brothers needed help with, or you know, just to be present with the people. And as soon as I got off the truck, I went into the middle of the crowd of all the residents, and I just said, you know, here I am, whatever. If you want to touch me, touch me. You know, hold my hand, sure. You know, I'll do that. And but you know, at the same time, I realized the second day after I went home and back to our residence,
Yes.
and I went to Faith Center the next day, and I realized that it's much more than that, you know, than just doing whatever tasks it is that need to be done. And I realized that I wasn't really being present in my heart. And it wasn't until when I was at cleaning up at Faith Center, one of the residents just grabbed me. I was trying to hand water out, and one of the residents didn't want water. Instead, he just took my hand. And I didn't know where he was taking me, but I just followed him. And he ended up just taking me to the corner of one of the corners in the places, and then he just started laughing. And I was like, okay, whatever, you know. But then I realized at that moment how important it was to be present, and to be really present to them, and you know, rather than just cleaning or doing the whatever work needs to be done, it's necessary. But first and foremost, to be present to the people. And I realized how important it is to, you know, to not just to allow yourself to, you know, for them to approach you and stuff, but also approach them.
Right.
And I thought that was a very important lesson that I learned that day. That same day, there was a tough moment I had where I saw a young man laying down in a bed, and he was like half asleep, but I could tell he was very sick. And there was flies on his face, and when I came to the residence, I reflected on that, because I realized how important it is to touch, because I didn't touch this young man, and I could have easily just gone to him and put my hand on his forehead or something, and I didn't. And so when that man grabbed my hand, you know, I was able to reflect on that later on and see how important that was. So, you know, I'm looking forward to try again and have another opportunity to be with the people. So that's a profound experience that I had about, you know, the importance of being present completely, completely giving oneself to others.
We have concluded this session of Church with the Poor, Church of the Poor, and you know, in a sense, we're all poor, as you said. We're all wounded, no? We all need the riches of Jesus, his wealth, the wealth of his love, and I think yes, we do receive from the physically poor or the materially poor these great spiritual riches, you know, of his love and his grace and his peace. And the joy, I think many of you mentioned the joys that you experience. Some people who should be sad and crying and complaining, you know. I think we've all been blessed by that.